Hello and welcome to the show, everybody. This is Shadow at Night, Monday, August the 12th, 2024. And on the show tonight, Chris Dacey of Dacey Media, who is covering the takeover the Capitol Palestinian protest in Ottawa over the weekend. We have some video to play for you from Chris from that event, which we'll get to in just a second. Then Chris is going to describe everything that happened during that protest and how rough those people can get, who may have been involved in the crowd, and much more. Chris Dacey of Dacey Media coming up in just a second. We have an update from Jason Levine of The Levine Show. He tells us that Chris Carbert and Tony Olenek, the Coots 2, who were convicted of minor charges about a week and a half ago now in Lethbridge Court, will appear in court 2 weeks from today for a week-long process before finally getting sentencing and possibly bail on Friday the 30th, 29th, way at the end of the month. So they've still got 2-3 more weeks in lockup before they see the light of day, if in fact they do get released in a few weeks. Interesting developments over there. We'll try and find out more for you as the week goes on. That news is just fresh. I was thinking maybe we shouldn't do the show tonight because currently Elon Musk and Donald Trump are having a Spaces on X, and 1.2 million people are listening to that right now. They were delayed. It was supposed to come on at 7 o'clock Central Time tonight. They got delayed because of a DDoS attack, some kind of a cyber attack that delayed them for 45 minutes. So they're on right now on X. And like I say, over 1 million people are listening to that event. Probably the largest event in X history when it comes to Spaces. So hopefully you guys go and listen to that later and watch this show tonight. We also have some news regarding the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region Committee's plan, and the left-wing corporate media's promotional campaign has already begun regarding that campaign, which is, as far as I'm concerned, a 15-minute city UN agenda plan, just like all the other ones breaking out across the country are right now. We've got more on that coming up in just a second. The Shadow at Night live stream is always brought to you by Canada Nano Silver, CanadaNanoSilver.ca. Got a weak immune system? We got you covered. You got burned from the sun? We got you covered. You got burned from an element on the stove? We got you covered. From a bonfire? We got you covered. Dry and damaged skin? We got you covered. Bad breath? Bleeding gums? We've got you covered. All the great products online at CanadaNanoSilver.ca. The immune gummies, the facial serum, the naked bandage, the Nano Silver gel pump, the Recover Muscle Cream, silver lozenges, natural sinus relief, and toothpaste in multiple flavors, including bubbleberry for the kids. Find out more, all the details, make your purchases at CanadaNanoSilver.ca. Again, that is CanadaNanoSilver.ca. If you're looking for a retail location near you, there are over 30, and they're springing up all across the country. You can find out more on the retail locations tab right here on the website. And if you would like to become a retailer of these awesome products, then get a hold of Kevin and Anna through the contact tab at CanadaNanoSilver.ca. Again, that is CanadaNanoSilver.ca. All right, let's go to video from the takeover the Capitol protest this past weekend in Ottawa, courtesy of Dacey Media. This is right in front of the House of Commons on Wellington Street in downtown Ottawa.
I'll just put the police between me and you guys, man. No problem. I'll just keep the police between me and these guys. It's fine. Is that an Israeli flag or what? That's an Israeli flag. Well, it's not okay that there's 1,000 police around and none are here. Well, they're not here when the guys are pushing and getting in my face, are they? Is it okay? I don't think it is. I don't care anymore. There's citizens that need help down here, officers. There's a bunch of citizens that need help down here, guys. Like, honestly. Hello, sergeant, officers, officer in the truck. We need help down here, guys. Oh, you're just gonna all bike away? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're gonna bike away. Where are you biking to? Where are all the police that were here all morning? What the hell, guys? Are there any police here that can help some citizens? There's 2 liaisons and that's it down there. They're completely overtasked. They can't do anything and a bunch of people are getting attacked. Can any of you guys help? I asked for help and they all biked away from me, for fuck's sakes. Like, there's people getting pushed around, there's all kinds of intimidation, disorderly following, smoke grenades being set off. For fuck's sakes! I should have to come down here and beg you for help. Eh? Oh, it's that, eh? I should leave because they're breaking the law. Is that what you say, Sergeant? Do your job. Share this, please. I am sick of this crap. All of this could have been presented. So these guys, I asked for help and they biked away from me. I had to run down a full block to get help. Well, I need to talk to someone about this after. Oh, you need help? Yeah, I do. Which one of you guys, how many of you biked away from me when I asked for help? Which one of you guys? Everyone who bicycled away down a block and made me chase them a block for help, raise your hand. Every one of you cowards who bicycled away when I asked for help, raise your hands. You're all on video, so you'll be pretty famous by the end of the night. And you're all live as well. I literally asked for help and 8 officers disengaged. I had to chase them. Like, come on. Come on.
Yes, in our city.
As smoke grenades go off in the background. Welcome to Ottawa. Welcome to Ottawa.
Oh, here come the big flags. You know, that is rather pathetic. That is, I can't even believe that really happened, but here we are. Let me just take this down off the screen here so I'm not distracted by it going forward. We're going to bring Chris on right now, who is there. Chris, you sounded emotionally engaged in that incident. When was that, yesterday or the day before?
That would have been Saturday afternoon. And yeah, 100% I was emotional. That last part of the video was after this thing had been going on for hours. It was still in every street. Smoke had already been set off, drums, the usual genocidal type chant. I had tried to get help from police. So let me start off by saying maybe that when I went into downtown this time, there was one of the largest police presence I've seen in ages, set up ahead of time. There was a large number of Ottawa police. They had public order units on standby, and there was also a huge contingent of OPP on standby in case they were needed. So all these police were
Chris, your audio is breaking up a little bit. If you could maybe just turn down the gain some so that it doesn't overmodulate, that would be cool. I want to hear. We all want to hear everything that you've got to say here, and it's getting to the point with these protests that enough is enough, right?
Is that any better?
You got to keep talking so we can tell, man. Anyway, you were in the middle of saying.
Yeah, hopefully that's a little better. So what I was saying was I was quite surprised. There was some pretty intense rhetoric and some wild videos that went out about this. It was being dubbed "Take Over the Capitol," and I forwarded those on to police. I told whoever I could, and it seemed starting out the day that there was quite a large police presence, and that they were prepared for what might happen. The event was on a hill, so it was kind of contained to the hill. There were speeches, all kinds of stuff going on. It's when it suddenly came out onto Wellington Street. There were only 2 liaison officers there, and not a single other officer deployed until I ran quite a bit later to beg for help, basically.
So let me ask you, when you went and got all of those officers, it looked like there was quite a few waiting down there. Were these guys parading towards the cops? Do you think they were assigned to that one spot, and then maybe they were supposed to, follow that parade wherever they wound up, and they didn't want to leave their post, let's just say?
Yeah. So I had that, and I think that may be the case with the second set of cops, like at the far end. It seemed like they were set up to facilitate the march and kind of bring them along. It's weird. Normally the streets get closed down ahead of time. They had lots of police involved and ready, but maybe the crowd came out unexpectedly is the only thing I can kind of imagine. And those 2 liaisons were kind of just left there in the middle, and everybody else was kind of stood back maybe for the parade part. But those officers weren't that far away. The ones that I went and asked for help, and there was a sergeant in that pickup truck, and I mean they could see what was going on directly in front of them. I can only, I'd be guessing, but I think probably the liaisons would have radioed that things were kind of getting a little out of hand. The street was still open when they came out. It was a wild scene. I was right in the middle of it at one point, and I kind of was like, holy crap! I looked around. There was no one friendly around, no police around, and I took a bit of video of the smoke grenade, and I thought, I didn't feel safe in there.
Dude, you know what? Your audio is horrendous. We can't understand what you're saying. If there's something we could do to fix it, I could just pull you off screen for a couple of minutes or something, and maybe we can get that improved some, because you've got a lot of really cool things to say, or we want to be able to hear you. So we're going to bring you back in a couple of minutes, all right? Chris Dacey of Dacey Media hopefully rejoins with better audio in just a couple of minutes. Guys, tonight on the extension for you all access members at shadowdavis.com, I've got video of the UN Conference on the Human Environment in 1972, which is chaired by Maurice Strong. Maurice Strong, who was the originator of the UN, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, back in 1987. He brought those goals to the UN in 1987, where they developed a plan based upon that, and then launched it worldwide in 1992. And guess where we are right now? Originally, it was called Agenda 21, and then they switched it to Agenda 2030, which is what we're in the middle of right now. We're 5 years away from them completing their goal. Complete cities, healthy cities, smart cities, 15-minute cities, whatever you want to call them. We're going to go back and play this UN Conference on the Human Environment from 1972 during the extension tonight. What have I got for you here right now? Let's bring this up here. No, I want to wait on that one. Everything is in sequence here. So I'll tell you. Oh, by the way, there was a poll done by Nanos. No, we don't want that. There's a poll by Nanos that says Canadians prefer Mark Carney as leader of the Liberal Party of Canada over Justin Trudeau. We're going to get to that in just a little while, which is funny because Mark Carney is a bigger global. He's probably the biggest globalist of them all, and that's saying something. If you put Chrystia Freeland together with Justin Trudeau and all of the other Liberals combined, Mark Carney is probably one of the heads of the snake. Let's bring back Chris Dacey now. Chris, let's see if we can hear you better.
Is that any better? The other option I can do is take off my head. Yeah, okay. Hopefully it's a bit better.
Yes, that is better. Okay, so you were talking about, actually we were talking about who may have infiltrated this demonstration in Ottawa over the weekend. Was there Black Bloc, Antifa, all the people like that?
Yeah, the usual players. So there's an ever-growing group of people with communist flags. So I think there's a couple of different groups of communists. One of them is the Canadian Communist Party, possibly CCP. That would be fitting. There's another one. They've got kind of a rose and a hammer and sickle. So there's always the visible communists. There's also the I guess you would call them kind of akin to Antifa or Black Bloc. So there's varying degrees of that. Sometimes it's with keffiyehs and things like that. Sometimes it's just straight up mask. Sometimes it's more of that militarized kind of look. So you definitely have the Antifa. Sometimes you get the unions. It's more in the LGBT type of events, but you have at least three groups, I would say. And I find, for the most part, it's the Antifa types and some of these more communist types that I tend to have more problems with. There are times where I can kind of have conversations with some of the pro-Palestinian people, but it's almost always shut down by these marshals and different people that seem to be inserting themselves into the cause.
When you say marshals, are you talking about like almost like whips where they walk around the crowd and they don't want people engaging with media like yourself or even police officers or left-wing corporate media who might get a quote that they don't want out there?
Yeah, 100%. So there's people that have vests, and they're almost exclusive. In my experience, most of them have been these leftist types. Like there's an overlap there. In fact, Clayton Goodwin, who I've had lots of experience with, was kind of front and center at this thing before the march. He's standing there. He's got a big walking stick and kind of giving me a hard time. But he's present at almost every radical left event in Ottawa, and he clearly has some type of leadership role or something going on there. There's a connection for sure.
What about our friend who began the 1 million person march last year? I'm forgetting his name right now off the top of my head. But
Kamel.
Kamel El-Sheikh. Yeah, he's the guy. You have become friends with him over the past few months, and I remember you saying in a video a couple of days ago that you and Kamel don't see eye to eye on everything, but you have developed a friendship, and you are able to communicate. Where does he stand in all of this?
We haven't really gotten too in depth into those conversations. We've had some conversations recently, though, and I kind of told him, like, I want to talk to people involved in this, but the cause has been completely taken over, and I can't do it this way. So I think him and I are going to try to have those conversations, or some conversations. We definitely don't see eye to eye on probably a lot of this stuff. I don't imagine it'll be the easiest conversation to have, but him and I have been able to work civilly and find common ground. And I want to try to have that conversation, and I want to try to understand more of the underlying cause that's bringing all these people out. There's a lot of different things going on, but if we just keep looking at everything like a monolith and saying like it's just a Palestinian thing, it's just a Israeli or whatever, that's not what's happening here. There's many groups, there's many things going on, and I want to kind of get to more of the bottom of some of these issues. So I'm going to attempt to do that with him, and probably do some work, maybe helping out to try to have another successful march here in September.
You know, it's interesting because trying to have that conversation, I mean, I recall you saying, I go into this with an open mind and an open heart, genuinely trying to understand what the end goal, what the ask from these people is. And once you get involved in that street stuff with a camera, everybody's pointing a camera at everybody else, right? Nobody can come off that role they're supposed to be playing out in public and actually just have a sit-down heart-to-heart. Maybe it would be better to have a closed-doors conversation with somebody like Kamel so you can really get a vibe for what they're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah, I think that's the only way that like the conversations, once you're on the street and they're at protests, I don't think that anybody realistically is expecting to have a productive conversation there. And I'm not saying that everybody's ill-intentioned and trying to gotcha, but the emotions are too high. There's no time to properly dig into the issues. These are really complex issues. And a few catchphrases on the street while everyone's, at emotion level 10 is not really the way to do it. So I do think in a place where it's calm, it's quiet, it doesn't have to be, there's lots of ways to do it. It could be recorded so that people feel more comfortable, whatever the case may be. But I think it's one-on-one or in very small groups anyways that these conversations are going to be had and not in the street.
What about the two-tier policing? I mean, as you illustrated in your video, these police don't seem to want to engage with these folks. The smoke bombs are going off and the drums are being pounded, and it looks pretty unruly as compared to, I don't know, something like the Freedom Convoy with bouncy castles and road hockey games in the street, and yet they brought out the heavy cavalry for that. What's your take? Yeah,
I mean, I'm pretty used to a two-tiered policing system and justice system here in Ottawa, but even with this one, I was shocked. And there's been times where I, to give the police the benefit of the doubt, maybe they weren't quite prepared in time, or they weren't set up in time, or a crowd kind of moved before they expected. But after seeing the police presence, after having personally notified the police, so I know they knew this was happening, seeing the massive police presence, including auxiliary OPP standing by, I thought, okay, like this is better. Be prepared. If there's a problem, at least there's police here, right? And when I saw absolutely no police, the only thing that I can really think is right, either they were caught completely off guard, which seems impossible given their position and how many officers they had, or they were ordered to stand down. I can't realistically think of another option. And having been a person who went to police asking for help, I mean, if that was another citizen, would they have ran away? Did they do that because it was me? If it was because it was me, does that make it okay? Like, there's so many questions here that are just, I can't believe this is real life, honestly.
Yeah, it seems like we're watching a movie, and how well coordinated those people are. I mean, if you say that there was a couple thousand people there, the stuff they're carrying, that's not inexpensive. Those flags and the headdress and all of the equipment that they've got, the speakers and the smoke bombs. I mean, where's that money coming from? Who's paying for that?
NGOs, I guess. There's people that have dug into this more than me, but I think it's a big circle of NGOs. Our government gives to this group, who gives to this group, who gives to this group, and I mean the organization is impossible to miss. I imagine a lot of it goes on at mosque. I don't know that to be 100% true, but like they have matching everything. They have there's thousands of people there. When there's 10,000, they all still have the same outfit and flags. So someone's making a killing on flags and keffiyehs. But they're clearly well supported. They have people that will bust them in by the busload at times. So there's money definitely supporting this. It's not like the grassroots kind of thing that we saw in 2022.
What about all the mask wearing? I mean, this is, when you've got a situation where it's a possible riot situation like this, it's illegal in Canada to wear face coverings to conceal your identity, and yet the police continue to let these people do this. Are they all masked or just most of them?
I would say the vast majority, and the ones that are problems, yes, every single one of those people is normally masked. I think it was just that same day, Kareem Assad was posting some videos. So there was an event, I think it was near Toronto possibly, but Justin Trudeau was having an event, and there was a large protest that showed up there, including a pro-Palestinian contingent. And the police there were telling people, giving them the ultimatum that they'd have to take their masks off. That's the only and first instance I've seen of that. That's never been an issue here. So, I mean, I have, in those many altercations, there's people that you can only see just barely, you can even make out their eye color. Right up in my face, and they're unidentifiable. And if something really does happen, and I might have video, it wouldn't be a lot of help in identifying or laying charges in any of these people.
She had brown eyes. Brown eyes, maybe. I don't know. This is not a good thing for Justin Trudeau, who looks like he's nearing the end of his rope here. We've got a poll that says Canadians prefer Mark Carney as the new Liberal leader from Nanos over Justin Trudeau by a kind of a wide margin. Do you see anything helping the Liberals at this stage of the game with the protests and the bad polling and the general lethargy and even the hatred and the unrest that's happening across our country right now?
Yeah, and I don't think, that's not so much an endorsement of Carney as an indictment of Trudeau, probably. I don't see how they can do anything to save this, honestly. They're getting more and more desperate, and the rhetoric will probably get increasingly extreme, and we'll probably see more chaos in our streets, right? What they need is someone like me to freak out when something like this is going on, instead of having a video of a stomping of an Israeli flag and they'll have me or someone lose it. Then they kind of have what they want, right? And then all this right-wing extremist talk is true for them. So we need to not. It's hard, man, when you're out there and in the middle of these things, not get too emotional. But we need to keep our wits about us and document everything, keep sharing and talking while we can. Because I thought that we were years behind England after what I went through this weekend. I fear that we're a lot closer to what's happening in England than I thought.
Well, you know what? Aside from what's going on in England, there's a whole other thing, and that's people are being arrested for posting online over there. I've got some video of a judge sentencing a man for posting on Facebook coming up a little bit later on in the show. You've got a busy week. The trial resumes for Tamara Leach and Chris Barber tomorrow. I think you're going to be covering that. Yeah, you and Smoothie?
Yeah, Smoothie will have the detailed coverage there coming from the courthouse, and I'll be doing my thing too. So that's the ongoing longest mischief trial in Canadian history. It's supposed to go the rest of this week and a few more days. So we're looking at quite a while and then months before we get probably a decision. So.
And Friday night, it's a big bash for Pat King, even though he won't be there. It is a fundraiser for him. You going to go cover that too? I'd love to see the video of that. That's good times.
Yeah, I'll be there for that one. That'll be nice. Yeah, that'll be nice. Hopefully, too many of the it's a little outside of town, so that kind of keeps the crazies away sometimes. But that should be nice. Pat won't be there, but Tamara will be there, and she'll have her guitar, and might be a few other surprises, and it should be a nice night, barbecue and a bonfire, and some cool times and stuff. And Pat could, after the legal fees he's incurred, and then this recent hiccup with the breach and all that, he's behind the 8 ball again. So anything we can do to help him, fight the state, then we're going to try to do that. So.
Do we know how much he's in for with this? It's in the hundreds of thousands, obviously, but
yeah,
300, 400?
I would guess it's got to be up there. I've heard talk about, so for Tamara and Chris, for instance, it being close to $1 million. I've heard talk before his breach and that he was something like still maybe 20K in the hole, but with the breach and all that, it doesn't take long to rack up another 50, 60K.
Wow.
So he could be looking at trying to, make up almost 100,000 by this time this is said and done, an additional 100,000.
That's insane. And did you get tossed around this past weekend at all? Did you get any bruises, any cuts, anything?
Yeah. Not too bad, man. I got the usual right up in my face and the verbal beating, tongue lashings and that. But I got pushed back a little bit by the crowd. But I've been in worse.
Bro, you do a great job getting in there and getting the video for us. We need to see this stuff because it's our country. It's going on in our capital city. And, I believe, like you talk about UK, I believe the same sentiment is true here in Canada, except we're such a big country that it seems, Ottawa, from Winnipeg to Calgary and Vancouver, we're all so far apart. It's almost like it's not really happening here in some cases, whereas the UK, it's a country the size of Saskatchewan, really. I mean, you can get to a major city inside of 45 minutes in a car.
Yeah, we're definitely spread out, and it does make it harder kind of to find the people that are supportive. And I happen to be in a place that, unless you start getting into the rural parts of town, you've got a lot of ideologically opposed people to me. So it's a little hard here, but this stuff is happening here. We're seeing video and stuff coming out of every city. The changes are impossible to miss. So we've been too polite for too long. It's people are instead of dealing with the issues, they're freaking out and they're calling us bigots for shining a light on it. I think we need to keep shining the light on it. There wasn't a single mainstream media person down there. We need to make sure that people with cameras are sharing this because the camera doesn't lie.
Okay, Chris, thanks for coming on tonight. Really appreciate you taking the time, man. We'll have you back soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there is Chris Dacey of Dacey Media getting the job done in the nation's capital in Ottawa. Got to move on. We got some other things to discuss tonight. And don't forget, guys, we have video of the 1972, the very first UN conference on the human environment with Maurice Strong. I'm embarrassed to say that he is from Manitoba. He's the guy behind all of this, the United Nations SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. He's the guy who got this initially pushed through in the United Nations. He is the culprit behind it all. And so you can see it, I believe there was 117 countries participating in the very first conference on the human environment in 1972, where they talk about another ice age is coming our way. Not global warming, not climate change, but another ice age. Interesting, isn't it? All right, let's continue on with this story here. Plan for the future of Winnipeg's metro region. That's what the board is called. It was put in place by the province of Manitoba. The board is a corporation. They have or will have complete power over all of the municipalities in the province. To start with, it will be the city of Winnipeg plus the 17 surrounding rural municipalities, RMs we call them. And the left-wing corporate media in Winnipeg is already starting the promo campaign. This is from CTV Winnipeg. This woman here, I don't know her name. Doesn't say on the screen. She's interviewing the executive director of the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region Board. Let's have a listen. Let's have a listen to how glowing and amazing this project is going to be for all of us.
And a long-term regional development strategy is now in the works. This 30-year plan for Winnipeg and 17 surrounding municipalities, including Niverville, Richat, and McDonald, are now in the public hearing stage. It's called Plan 2050, a 30-year blueprint to coordinate land use, services, and infrastructure. Joining us now from the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region is the Executive Director, Jennifer Freeman. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Now, first, let's start with the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region. Tell us what WMR is exactly and what your mandate is.
So in 2019, the province of Manitoba mandated the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region to coordinate land use across the region. Part of that mandate was to create the first regional plan. So the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region, as you said, are the 18 municipalities across the Winnipeg Metro region, the capital planning region, and they've been working together for a very long time to work on this strategy to coordinate our land use planning and service.
Wait a minute, hold on. What's a very long time? How long have they been working on this? I don't know. She doesn't specify either. But this board was only formed last year. This board was only formed last year. So if they didn't have a board, how could they work on anything? Let's continue.
So actually, it was Susan Thompson in 1998 who brought these great leaders together, and we're continuing this work.
Okay, so there's a lot of rumors and misconceptions about what this plan is in the first place. Let's tell us a little bit about some of the misconceptions that are out there and some of the fears you're hearing from people.
Okay, you know what? First, I think I'll tell you what it is about at a very high level.
Okay.
You know, no matter where we live, we have the same challenges, and we want the same things. We want good jobs. We want to grow old in our communities. We want the water that we drink.
Okay, so she is reciting directly from the plan. We want clean water. We want good jobs. This is right from the plan. This is not from here. It may as well be reading this. She may have memorized it. Let's continue.
To be clean, we want our children to stay here, have opportunities here, and we want our grandchildren to be raised here. So what it is not, and this is some of the misconceptions that have been pulled out of planning policy. Some of the misconceptions are around, for example, this first and foremost, this is not about taking away people's personal rights and freedom. It's not about forcing people to use electronic vehicles. It's not about forcing people to take the bus. It's not about closing.
Okay, so notice she uses the word forcing. It's not about forcing. It's not about that. That is in the language of their report. This in the language of their plan. All right? They don't say forcing, but they do have other ways of doing it. Make things too expensive for people. Oh, you're not going to be able to drive your gas-powered car here. You can drive an electric car, but not a gas-powered car, at least not this week. The pollution numbers are up. Don't you know that? So maybe when they come down the week after next, you can drive your gas-powered, or maybe if you've got a permit that you spent $350 for through the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region gaming plan, or whatever it is, then you can go ahead. You've got a sticker on your car? Yeah, then you can. Bus? Has she been on a bus in Winnipeg ever, I wonder? We're not forcing you to take the bus. But we are going to have extended, dedicated bus corridors, should you decide you want to. Where is the money coming from this? I'm going to let her finish. I'm sorry.
Off access to roads or wells. But when you
Okay, hold on. In the language of the plan, they say that they will be limiting usage of travel corridors. So this is either a lie or she hasn't read that part of the report.
This policy framework, it's aspirational, and we are exploring use of electronic vehicles, but not forcing everybody to use them. We're just thinking of the environment and what the considerations are, around that. We're also looking at transit to ensure that our connectivity is planned very wisely. So for the people who do take the bus, they can get to where they need to go. And then I think the biggest misconception is that we are planning 15-minute cities, which we are not. As I said, we're planning so that people can grow old in their communities. So that's just basically if you have a big house on a big lot and you can no longer maintain that maybe there's a senior's residence in your community, there's a store close by. But it's
Okay, so this is something I haven't been able to understand. I'm not sure if you, right now, watching this, live in a city. I live in a city. And everything you can think of is already within a 15-minute walk for me. Because I don't own a vehicle, I walk everywhere and I do take the bus. I want for nothing. There are several doctor's offices in my neighborhood. There's several dental offices in my neighborhood. There's chiropractors. There's all kinds of medical offshoots. There's grocery stores. There's a Walmart down the street. It's not difficult to get the things you need without ever having to get into a taxi cab. So why do we need this? It's already available. Everything that she is talking about, clean water. Do we not have clean water now? Is there something the matter with the water? Should we be freaking out because the water is an issue? I don't understand exactly why they need to have this plan if it's not going to do anything. And that's what she's saying. Also, it's not a 15-minute city. No, that's not what you're calling it. You're calling it a complete city. Goes by different names in different jurisdictions. Brandon's is going to be called a healthy city. I don't know what they call it in Edmonton, or Calgary, or Vancouver, or Toronto, but I'm sure they've got different names. They're disguising what they're doing. Remember, there are 400 municipalities, including all the big cities in this country, who are members of the Canadian Federation of Municipalities. All right, they're partnering with the Partners for Climate Protection, which is the Canadian version of ICLEI, which comes directly from the United Nations, and they are installing their 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or they're trying to. Has she mentioned climate at all yet? Because it's all over the report. UN is all over the report. I believe Ken Lee told me this morning they mentioned 72 times climate change. 72 times in the report. That's once every 2 pages. Has she said it yet? Let's see if she does.
It had to be postponed. What are the plans to reschedule that?
Is spreading like wildfire, and that's not what this is about.
You
The
had a public
misinformation.
hearing that was planned in Niverville at the Niverville Heritage Center last Thursday. A lot of people showed up. It had to be postponed. What are the plans to reschedule that hearing?
Well, we're looking into that right now, because what this really shows us is there's a lot of people who are really passionate about what's going on in their communities. They're concerned about what's going on in their community.
All right. We don't need to listen to that anymore. They want the facts. Of course, they want the facts. You know what? All they need to do, if they really want the facts, is read the plan. It seems to me that many people on this board, on this Winnipeg Metropolitan Region board, haven't read the plan yet. It seems to me that council members in the municipalities surrounding the city of Winnipeg, and even council members on city council, haven't read this plan yet. We have been working on information sessions for all of the 18 municipalities in the next 30 to 40 days. We got at least a 40-minute window here, 40-day window, because they could not pull off the meeting last time in Niverville. Too many people, not a big enough venue. So they're planning a new one. We don't know where and when it's going to be yet. But hopefully they have capacity for at least 2,000 people. If everybody cannot fit into the venue that they've decided on, that they do decide on, then they're going to have to do it again, or they're going to have to live stream it. That's all part of it. I think they should have to live stream it. Personally, I'm not sure why they haven't. Oh, maybe it's because they don't really want people to know. Why are they doing this under cover of night? And when I say under cover of night, I mean right in the middle of summer. They know everybody is on vacation in the short Manitoba summer. They do it in the middle of a work day when the people who aren't on vacation are at work. Why don't they do it in the evening? Brandon's doing it in the evening. In the evening, people would have more of an opportunity to attend. Maybe it's because they don't want you to attend. But now they've reached out to all of their left-wing corporate media sources in the city. CTV, Winnipeg is first. They've already had the news talk radio station, and they probably will continue being on CJOB, Winnipeg's news and information station, every day or every second day for the next 40 days, putting out propaganda to the people of the city. So when we do reach out to them, they're going to think we are conspiracy theorists. That's what their plan is. They're trying to get ahead of it before the next meeting. We need to work faster. So you're going to ask me right now, what are we doing? What's the plan? Plans are being made right now. Plans are being made right now. Maybe we need to move a little faster on this. But I will assure you guys that plans are, in fact, being made right now. From True North, Canadians prefer Mark Carney as the new leader of the Liberal Party of Canada over Justin Trudeau. There he is there. He's the former governor of the Bank of Canada and the former governor of the Bank of England. They have a more positive view. Well, we have a more positive view, apparently, of Mark Carney than Justin Trudeau. However, Carney's addition to the Liberal cabinet may not be enough to regain support from voters. Last poll came out yesterday. I put it on from Abacus. You saw it last night. It shows the Conservatives with a 20-point lead over the Liberals, 43-23, with the NDP coming in at 18%. And the Conservatives also lead in Quebec. What? Yes, the Conservatives also lead in Quebec. In every region, the Conservatives are ahead by as small as 8 points and as many as 40 points. And they lead by 1 point over the Bloc Québécois in the province of Quebec. They lead in all age groups, and they lead in both genders. This new poll by Nanos asked Canadians how much Carney's potential addition to the Liberal cabinet would have on their decision in the next election, and the results revealed that while it may help a little bit, it's not going to be enough to sway voters. Political pundits have floated the idea of Carney replacing Trudeau as the Liberal leader for some time. However, thus far, he's only being asked to join the cabinet by the Prime Minister because the Prime Minister's ego is so big that he cannot force himself to step aside. He just can't. He can't do it. Carney himself has remained quiet on such speculation. So we're not going to go into the details of that poll. Whatever. The Liberals' goose is cooked. Guys, I'm going to have to get this counselor from Pickering on. She is getting ganged up on and beaten up. I mean, she's got to have a thick skin by now. From City News Everywhere, this is City News Toronto. Controversial counselor created an environment of fear. That from the entire Pickering, Ontario Council, except for her, of course. Now, how could a woman, a single woman, versus 5 other people, men and women, create an environment of fear? Don't you think it might be the other way around? This is from Rhianna Lim of the Canadian Press. The mayor of a southern Ontario city and 5 out of 6 municipal councillors are condemning the last member of the group for appearing on an online show they say promotes hate speech and extremist views, arguing her increasingly controversial history has created an environment of fear and intimidation on council. Oh, she went on, who's that guy from Alberta? I can't remember his name. Kevin J. Johnston or something? Now, he is extreme. And I think it's for the shock value, right? He's going to say some things that make him sound like a racist. Completely and totally over the top. Probably not the best idea for her to appear on that show. Probably a better idea to come on this show. But anyway, in a scathing press release published on Wednesday, last week, Pickering Mayor Kevin Ash and the rest of Councillor Lisa Robinson's fellow council members sounded the alarm over her recent appearance on the Kevin J. Johnston show on Rumble, which they call a far-right video platform. No, it's a free speech video platform, so wrong on that one. They said the host called the council members pedophiles and Nazis. I can't verify. I haven't heard the episode, but I wouldn't doubt it. But again, I can't say for sure. Maybe you watched it and heard him say that. And said they deserve a baseball bat to the face. Well, that's uttering threats. You can't say that stuff. You can't say that stuff. There were other pointed remarks, apparently, asserting Robinson smiled. The council members, the mayor and the council members are asserting that Robinson smiled or nodded instead of refuting Johnston's comments. So what? So what? She didn't say them. The host said them. If she smiled or nodded, so what? Big deal. It was hateful. It was misogynist. It was racist. That from the mayor, Kevin Ash, in a phone interview. For many of us on council, this is really the final straw. She's creating an environment of intimidation and fear. She's an elected official. This guy should go pound sand. The statement from the mayor and the 5 councillors said Robinson's participation in the show is irresponsible, unethical, and dangerous, and implies her support for extremist views they say are at odds with the city's values of inclusivity and respect. When you think she can't go lower, she goes lower, Ash said. I would like to see them say that about this show. Seriously. Where we could talk honestly and openly without the name-calling part. If you guys know Lisa Robinson, who is a city councilor in Pickering, please let her know. I already tweeted this out today. I already asked her to follow me so I can message her on X. I would love to have her on. Controversies causing unrest at City Hall in Pickering. The mayor said participating in the show is only the latest controversial action by Robinson, who was elected to Pickering Council a couple of years ago. He said Robinson's appearance on the online show is part of what he called a troubling pattern, citing her opposition to Pride events and her denunciation of Black History Month in an opinion piece published earlier this year. Oh no, she's not allowed to have her own opinions on things. These actions have not only disrupted the business of our municipality, but have also created an environment of fear and intimidation. These people need to grow a thicker skin. Or maybe, how about a public debate? How about that? I mean, you outnumber her. How is it that she has created this environment of fear and intimidation, which has been intensified by her appearance in this podcast, the joint statement reads. Ash said Robinson's controversies have prompted unrest at City Hall since she took office, noting her supporters have interrupted the council's agenda to the point where the chambers have had to be cleared out multiple times. Lisa Robinson, if you guys know her or have contact information, please do me a favor and send it to me via email, shadowdavis@gmail.com. I would really, really appreciate that. I'd love to have her on the show. And she may be gun shy. She may be gun shy about coming on the show now after that appearance on Kevin J. Johnston. This on X from Jack Posobiec, flashback. Of course, remember that the VP candidate now in the Democrat Party underneath Kamala Harris on the ticket is Tim Walz. And he's been accused of a lot of things since he was appointed to that ticket just a few days ago. But this is interesting. In a flashback, 3 Minneapolis police officers testified to the Minnesota Senate that Governor Tim Walz, at the time, gave the order to let rioters burn the Minneapolis Police Department 3rd precinct. I heard one cop said, I heard the governor say, give it up. Let's listen.
Police officers testified at the Minnesota Senate today. The officers are all board members for the Minneapolis Police Federation. And as Esme Murphy reports, they offered up a scathing critique of government and police leaders during the riots following George Floyd's death.
That's not what we stand for.
Her voice shaking, Minneapolis Police Sergeant Anna Hedberg says during the riots, officers were abandoned by state, city, and department leaders.
To watch them go through that was so heartbreaking. To know that they could have died because we were not allowed to respond the way that we have been trained to respond.
During the riots, the officers were told they could not wear protective frog suits, but were still hit and injured with bottles, cement, and more. Sergeant Hedberg blamed state, city, and department leaders for the abandonment of the 3rd precinct.
I heard the governor say, give it up. It wasn't directly to me, it was through a phone call. How the governor says, give up the precinct. I mean, that's demoralizing for this whole state.
And the 3 described a demoralized police force with dozens of officers planning to retire or quit.
I believe I speak for every Minneapolis cop when I tell you that I've never been more publicly humiliated.
They also described a city out of control.
The crime is rampant in Minneapolis right now.
Tim Walz, spreading joy from coast to coast in the United States. That, by the way, I think they're throwing that at the wall to see if it sticks in terms of being their new campaign slogan. Bring the joy. Because you know Kamala. Be wokest, woker. And this Tim Walz guy, oh, you know what? I'm just a Midwest guy who likes hunting. But I also made a point of making full-term abortion legal. And there's even some babies killed on my watch, by the way. Actually, fully formed born babies. 8 of them, apparently, were killed, listed as abortions. And so you know what his response to that was? Not to stop it, but to make sure the information was never recorded on the record so it couldn't be reported. A true story. What else in Minnesota, our neighbors to the south? Seriously, this sucks. How a small Minnesota town was left with a giant pile of wind turbine blades. Grant Meadow wants someone to get rid of the mess after a failed effort to recycle the massive worn-out parts. And look at them all there. Look at that. I had a great conversation with Christine Ronseray today. And in the southern part of Manitoba, as well as, you can see them on the #1 highway driving through Saskatchewan, all of these big wind turbines, killing birds left, right, and center. And I'm wondering exactly how much energy do they contribute to the power grids in our provinces? 1%, 2%? How much do these monstrosities cost to maintain, if they bother maintaining them at all? Apparently here in Minnesota they weren't. These blades would just fall out of the sky, clang, hit the ground. Darcy Richardson had big plans for a garden patio enveloped by flowers in her backyard in this little community south of Rochester. She gave up once the blades arrived. Trucks dropped off 111 fiberglass turbine blades on the empty lot next door in 2020, haphazardly stacked to the edge of Richardson's property. Almost 4 years later, the mountain of old wind parts, which is visible on Google Earth, is still there. Some blades are cracked and stained. Locals say they draw feral cats and foxes and are a safety risk because kids climb in the junk. They're also ugly, ruining Richardson's view, hurting property values, and attracting the curiosity of seemingly everyone who drives the highway into town. After 6 months, we were like, come on, guys, what's going on? Like said Richardson, once a master gardener, After a year, we were like, seriously, this sucks. What happened in Grant Meadow is more than merely a local mess. It reflects tensions over the boom of wind energy in southern Minnesota during a shift away from fossil fuels, all because of Tim Walz, by the way. The problem of recycling green infrastructure, small-town political infighting, and government and corporate bureaucracy. Frustrated city leaders have tried every angle they can think of to clear the lot, pressuring the property owner, the recycling company, and now powerful state regulators on the Public Utilities Commission. The story began with the company Next Extra Energy, a large Florida-based clean energy developer. In 2020, Next Era, it's that Next Era, not Next Extra, rebuilt a wind farm in Moore County to make the large 99-megawatt facility more efficient, installing longer blades on most of the 43 turbines. Each of those turbines is enormous, stretching 440 feet from the ground to the fully extended tip of the new blades. Often, expired turbine blades end up in a landfill. The fiberglass components are tough to reuse. Really? They can't be recycled? Creating a weak recycling market. This is a nuisance for a growing industry that flaunts its green image. In this case, Next Era tried to recycle. The company contracted a Spanish company, Siemens Gamesa Renewable Energy, on the Moore project, which in turn struck a deal to recycle the leftover blades through Ohio-based Rivercap Ventures. But guess what? It never happened. The blades are still there. They're dangerous and ugly. Thank you, Tim Walz. Thank you, Tim Walz, for that. The next VP of the United States of America. Look, what you guys need to do is go on YouTube, as a matter of fact. You can follow the show on YouTube. I'm almost at 2,000. I'm almost at 2,000 followers on YouTube. So go ahead and follow the show on YouTube. But also what you need to do is look at Real Politics. There's a bunch of guys on YouTube that go ahead and do projections on what's going to happen in the Electoral College in November. And lately, it appears as though Kamala Harris has got a bit of an uptick, where she might get to 225 or 230 seats, but every one of these I watch, which is almost daily, it looks like Donald Trump is going to steal the show. It looks like Donald Trump is going to win. Don't know how the House is going to play out, don't know how the Senate's going to play out, but it would be better if the Senate and the House were Republican as well, so he can get things through without having to sign executive orders. Make America great again. My friends, we have a problem. I haven't read this article yet. It comes from left-wing corporate Global News Winnipeg. No, sorry, this is Global News National. My mistake. It's talking about higher than average extreme weather events like wildfires this autumn. And like I said, I haven't read this article yet, but I'm willing to bet any money right now that they say climate change at least once in this article. Shall we read it? Canadians are in for an autumn with higher than average extreme weather events like wildfires, not wildfires, just fires. More serious named storms. Oh, so are they talking about hurricanes? It sounds like it's the storms you name, they're hurricanes, right? Government of Canada scientists said in a briefing today. Yeah, let's trust the government scientists. These scientists who can now speak, apparently. Remember, Stephen Harper wouldn't let them speak? That was one of the big things. Let them speak. And now nobody can speak unless, of course, you're speaking the agreed-upon narrative that comes from the lefties. Anyway, these scientists told reporters that wildfire season could last well into September, which is unusual, since a normal wildfire season in Canada is expected to wrap up by the end of August. Environment Canada meteorologist Sebastian Chouinard said Canada will also see an above-normal hurricane season with 17 to 24 named storms expected to hit Canada by the end of the year. Oh, the 30-year average is 14 named storms a year, he said. Most of these storms are expected to largely affect the Atlantic provinces and Quebec. Of course, he's only just guessing. Of these named storms in 2024, it's like this article is already saying, yeah, they happened. 3 are expected to be Category 3 to 5 hurricanes. Ooh! Recent studies show, Climate change likely has an impact on the increase in the number of major category 3 to 5 hurricanes, while at the same time demonstrating that peak winds are becoming more intense. Okay, so what studies are you talking about? And exactly how credible are these studies? Mr. Chouinard, Public Safety Canada official, said there were currently 474 active fires burning across Canada. Of these, 167 are out of control, including 5 currently active still in Jasper. There are a number of out-of-control fires being held and fires under control. All have gone up recently, incrementally, due to the recent heat events we've continued to see in the West, Derek Trehearn of Public Safety Canada said. Emergency Preparedness Minister Harjit Sajjan, he of the Stolen Valor himself, said wildfires are top of mind this year for everyone right now, but that we're also in the thick of hurricane season. Oh, it's climate change. It's climate change. He said Canadians should have emergency kits and a family emergency plan prepared. Get your space blankets ready. Make sure you've got cans of beans and soup and a can opener. Everybody always forgets the can opener. Daddy, can I have some beans? Sure, here you go. I can't open them. Use your teeth, son. Canadians need to have emergency kits and a family emergency plan. Sajjan said there were 700 international firefighters from Australia, Mexico, New Zealand, the United States, Costa Rica, and South Africa helping Canada fight fires. More than 600 of them are currently in Alberta. Okay, so this is video of a police officer in the UK arresting a woman for praying in the street. Well, sorry, he doesn't arrest her. He gives her a very, very stern lecture and gives her a ticket. Penalty notice, as they call it in the UK. We're going to cover this and all kinds of other stuff. We've still got more things, my friends, in the extension for all access members at shadowdavis.com. If you are not a member, I suggest going and becoming one. SHADOE, like it says here at the bottom, SHADOEDAVIS.com, shadowdavis.com. Go become an all-access member. You'll be helping out the show, and you get all of the extra content I provide every single night in the extension, which begins after 9 o'clock Central Time. For the rest of you, I'll catch you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central for another show, and this one is going to be with Emily Duggan tomorrow night. Emily is a concerned mom, lives in Nelson, British Columbia. And she and some other concerned moms in that town have managed to get rid of some drag queen story hours in public spaces. And we're going to talk to her about how she did that and about the war on transing our children. Her name, again, is Emily Duggan, and she joins the show tomorrow night. I love you all. I appreciate you all. And I will talk to you again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central for another Shadow at Night live stream. The extension starts in 2 minutes for you all access members. I will see you there. I need my thing. Okay, bye for now.